Hey guys, welcome to the Canadian Spartan Ambassador Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Amber.
And I'm Jill, and we are ready to take you through some Canadian Spartan content. We are so excited to bring this podcast to you where we will discuss lots of topics Spartan Race Canada.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected for all our exciting episodes to come. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Canadian Spartan Ambassador Podcast. We are at episode 8, and we are so excited to bringing a completely different part of Spartan to the podcast tonight. And we are going to be talking about all things Deka, which some of you may or may not know. Deka is part of the Spartan brand, but it's an indoor fitness version of, well, not an obstacle course race, but we're going to talk about what that looks like in a few minutes because we've got Robin here with us who works very in the forefront with Deka. So she's going to introduce herself and tell us how she got aligned with Spartan Deka and a little bit about her story. So welcome, Robin.
Welcome,
we're
Robin.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Jill. Hey, so how did I get aligned with Deka? Well, I know like a few minutes ago, Amber's like, we're going to have a 30-minute podcast. And I'm like, oh, that could take 30 minutes, me just telling this whole story, but I'm going to do my best to be concise. So first of all, my name is Robin Legat. I'm the marketing manager for Spartan Deka. I am also, I say I'm the marketing manager. I'm the marketing department for Deka. I do all of the marketing in all the different forms, emails, social media, I do I content capture at events, things like that. I do all the things. Any pretty graphics that you see, I make them. So my history with Spartan goes back 8 years as a Spartan racer. So back in 2015, I'm a fitness professional, by the way. I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist, certified personal trainer through National Strength and Conditioning Association. I have worked in fitness in all sorts of forms, from large box gyms, small studios, boot camps, and I owned my own gym for 2 years in Santa Monica, California. Well, back in 2015, I was running an outdoor boot camp, and it was getting towards the end of the year. And I wanted to do a bonding activity with my group. And a Spartan race just happened to be coming up in Los Angeles in December, as it does every year around that time. So I decided I wanted to take my group and do a Spartan race. Having never done one before, looked like fun. I had friends who did them and said great things. So I had 14 people on my team, and we went out and we ran the Castaic Lake Spartan race in Southern California. At the end of the race, all my boot campers were like, "That was fun, Robin. Bye." And I was like, when is the next race? Like I just immediately drank that Kool-Aid, as so many people do. And I started doing Spartan races just about every month after that. So thankfully, my first race in Castaic was a sunny race, because my second race, which was in Temecula, California, was pouring rain, sideways rain, wind. If that was my first race, I don't know if I'd be having this conversation with you today, but it was my second race and I was already bought in. So anyway, I continued to do Spartan races, and I still continue to do Spartan races. So currently, I think I have finished 88 Spartan races of all different kinds thank you, from stadium. I've done one ultra. So, and then everything in between. I've done trail, and I've met people along the way. So Yancey Kolb was one of the people that I met along the way. I did his Yancey camp for a while. I met him at races. So you're in this community long enough, you meet some people who are, fixtures in the community. And Yancey is, fast forward, he's the co-founder of Deka. Another person I met in my journey is Jared Cogswell. I met him not connected to Spartan, but when I was getting ready to open my gym, I joined a fitness mastermind called the Todd Durkin Mastermind, and Jared was one of the coaches in the mastermind. So I got to know him there. So independently of each other, before they even met each other, I knew the two founders of Deka. I remember when they met, and instantly I knew these two were going to become best friends. Like, their personalities were so aligned, and I knew them each on their own. I was like, this makes sense. And then they went on to form Deka, which we'll talk about. But it was about a year and a half ago. Well, first of all, going back a little bit farther, I owned a gym, like I said, in Santa Monica. I opened it in 2018. And then in 2020, we all know what happened. And, things were pretty strict in Southern California, as I know you all know up in Canada. We had to close doors and really weren't able to reopen for the rest of the year. Our lease was up at the end of the year. My husband and I owned this gym together, and we decided to close it at the end of 2020. And I started running an online fitness business, but it wasn't really doing much. So I started, as we got into like 2022, like I was really hustling and trying to make things work. Get into 2022, I start thinking about maybe I should look for a job, but I also was like, I haven't been in the workforce in 11 years. I don't know if I'm hireable. And I happen to be a member of the internal affiliate Facebook group, because back in the early days of Deka, they pretty much let anybody join. And I joined it. And I saw a job posting in the group, and they were looking at the time for their an affiliate relations manager. And I looked at their job posting, and I was like, they're looking for me. Like, I just knew. And I messaged it. I'm like, keep an eye out. I'm submitting my resume.
Yeah.
And I sent in my resume, and basically within 2 weeks I had the job. And I was back in the workforce. And so I was the affiliate relations manager, which means I worked directly with all the affiliates, which is how I know Amber so well, supported them in everything they did, helped them get their events ready, sent their shirts and medals and all that. And then in the beginning of 2023, our previous marketing manager left for another job, and I moved into the marketing role, which is where I'm at now. So that is the y'all were looking for a much shorter story of got involved with that, but it's a long and winding 8-year road of how I ended up where I am. So, never stop dreaming, never stop hustling. You never know what'll happen.
I feel like nobody has a short story with how they like got into Spartan and stayed with it, because it's like you had to have drank some sort of Kool-Aid to like jump into this crazy sport and love it and last. But once you drink the Kool-Aid, you're not going anywhere, which
You're
is
done.
the best
Yeah.
part.
You're done, you're in. And it also like, it does teach you a lot about like grit and tenacity and all these, problem solving and all the things that play into your life. And my life has had many pivots over the years. I was a radio DJ in my 20s,
that makes sense now. You're such a good speaker.
Yeah. So yeah, I was playing those 90s alternative, throwback songs when they were not throwback songs. And, I've pivoted into fitness. I played roller derby for a bunch of years, and then ended up in Spartan race. And now I'm working, in marketing, but fitness marketing. And it's interesting the directions life takes you, but I believe that it takes you where you're meant to be at any given time. So I'm really happy with where I am and what I'm doing, and that I get, I love as a fitness professional helping people fall in love with fitness and have a strong relationship with fitness. And Spartan does that for people, and Deka is doing that for people now. And now I get to kind of help by extension a much greater scale, a much greater number of people through Deka, and through the gym owners and the affiliate owners that are doing it, the hands-on stuff. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
I
agree. Like, I think you've landed exactly where you're meant to be, because as an affiliate, I've worked closely with Robin, and you truly embody so much of the Spartan and Deka brand, and you literally lead by example. She's out there crushing Dekas and Spartans and like age groups, and it's such an inspiration for me, who's few years younger, to watch her like continue to thrive and grow with the brand, and just be such a good example of like community and support and positivity. And I do want to take a second and just thank you guys and what all you and your team do to support us as affiliates, because Deka and Spartan, you guys have our backs like 100, and that's one of the best parts about it being aligned as a Deka affiliate, is the amount of support we get from you guys at the forefront. So thank you, Robin, and the rest of the team.
Well, thank you, Amber. I really appreciate that. We work really hard, but we also, our entire team believes wholeheartedly in what we do. And what people may not know, and what we like to share as often as possible, is we have a really tiny team here at Team Deka, at Deka headquarters. We have 7 people who work full time on Deka. So I think when people think about Spartan, they think it's just like this behemoth, this machine. And we do lean on Spartan for things, especially when we hold our events that really support us. There are areas where we lean on them. And when it comes to the people working on Deka day in and day out, it's 7 of us, but we're all so mission driven. And that's really important to me. I've always been a mission-driven person. And especially, I love to admit my age. I'm 48 years old. I'm pushing 50. I found fitness and athletics later in life. I didn't do anything really athletic until I was 30. And then when I found this roller derby league that I only joined to make friends, and all of a sudden it like just changed my whole entire life, got me, helped me become a fitness professional, everything. But I really love seeing that transformation in other people that I was able to find in myself.
Yeah.
And so to be able to do that through Deka and to be able to see, thousands of people of all ages, all fitness levels, all backgrounds, later in life athletes like myself that I really connect with. It's really, really cool to see. And it drives me to work hard for y'all.
Yeah.
So tell us about
Thank
Deka. Like, what is Deka for anyone who's listening who is a Spartan racer? We've got a lot of Spartan racers who are listening. They have not made the transition to Deka yet. So tell us about Deka and the 3 different Dekas that there are.
Sure. So first of all, Deka is an indoor functional fitness competition and or test for all levels of fitness. So all of the movements, Deka always consists of 10 functional fitness zones, always in the exact same order. That never changes. And then there's different versions of that that I'll talk about in a second. But all of the movements in the Deka zones are basic functional fitness movements, meaning you don't have to like have complex instruction to learn how to do these movements. They are all about, and they're all designed in an order that is intentional and covers really important life movements. So, dropping down to one knee and standing up, dropping all the way down to the ground and standing up, getting over a basic obstacle, which for us is a 24-inch box, carrying weights, lifting and throwing something over your shoulder, pushing and pulling. I know I'm missing something. And then 3 very basic modes of transportation: row, ski, bike, that have been around for hundreds or thousands of years. So, and I know I didn't cover everything.
Oh, the Spartan burpees,
but I came close.
Spartan burpees.
Well, that was come all the way down to the ground and come up.
Oh, okay.
So I covered that one first. So, but that's, the kind of method behind the madness, or the madness behind the method. So the way the 10s are made, so that anyone who can show up and complete all 10 zones and finish. So we have about a 99% finisher rate. So for anyone who might be intimidated by Spartan or worry that they may not finish, we love to reach those people and say, come to us first, because you're more than likely going to reach that finish line. Deka was formed. The story of Deka is that back in 2019, Joe DeSena, who is the founder and CEO of Spartan Race, reached out to Yancey Culp. Of course, he's had a relationship for a long time. Yancey has finished a death race, and just has had a relationship with Spartan for a very long time. So Joe went to Yancey and said, hey, our mission is to rip 100 million people off the couch. We're doing a pretty good job with this with Spartan, but we know we could do more. And we know that we're missing some people who might be intimidated by the mud, the barbed wire, the monkey bars, all that stuff, and may think, this is something I can do and I want to reach those people. Can you help me come up with something? And so Yancey, who I previously mentioned, had formed a friendship with Jared Cogswell, who's had a long career in the fitness industry. He called up his friend Jared and said, hey, you want to help me with this project? And they flew out to Joe's farm and really hashed out what this could be. They like to say they murdered the plan. And what they landed on was Deka. So they landed on these 10 functional fitness zones that anyone could do for all levels, that could be standardized, so that no matter where you go, you're completing these zones in the exact same order. You're doing the exact same event, and the time that you earn can be compared to other times. So that's a slight difference from Spartan races, where you could do the same course, but it'll be designed completely differently. So although you might say, hey, I PR'd the course, there's kind of an asterisk with that, because the course might be completely different. With Deka, you can actually say, I PR'd the course because the 10 zones and all the other things that may come with it are exactly the same. So that really gives that time, which we call a Deka mark, a lot of power, and the PR is a lot more powerful, which we have seen with people who have competed at all levels over the years. So they started off with just the Deka Fit. In fact, I think back then it was called, like, the whole thing was called Deka Fit. And they were going to hold the first Deka Fit in Denver, Colorado in, I think, March of 2020. You can probably predict how this is going to go. So they moved to Denver, and I remember because I've known them and I was following what they were doing. They moved out to Denver. They went to every gym in the city, sold them on this new thing, this new Deka Fit. We're getting ready to hold the competition, and then everything shut down, and so did this first Deka Fit. All this stuff they've been working towards, done theoretically. So they had to go back to the drawing board and once again murder the plan. What they realized and landed on that gyms were really in trouble at this time, and gyms needed help, and they wanted to do what they could to help the gyms in this really tough time. And I remember that because I owned a gym at that time, and I remember them coming out to us, and I think they started this like gym rescue program where they were giving out free Spartan codes to gyms, and that's how I joined that internal affiliate group. But they basically developed the Deka affiliate program, which has now become the bread and butter of Deka, the primary focus of Deka, and that's how the Deka Strong and the Deka Mile were created. So what they did was they created smaller scale events that could be held in smaller spaces, which, because a Deka Fit, if anyone's been to a Deka Fit, it's in a convention center. But they created Deka Strong, which you only need about 2,000 square feet to do. A Deka Mile, you need just a little bit more. So let me explain these three different things. So like I said, the 10 zones never change. Zones 1 through 10 never change. A Deka Strong is 10 zones with no running in between. So you just go back to back on each zone for time, and then you're done. It takes, our elite athletes will take them 10, 11 minutes. And then new people who might be new to fitness, it might take them 30, 40, 50 minutes. But everybody feels the same when they're done. They're usually laying on the ground in what we call zone 11, or the Deka Dead Zone. You're laying not passed out, but you're laying down on the ground, catching your breath, no matter what fitness level you're at. And then you're pretty exhilarated that you just did this thing. Yeah. So that's the Deka Strong. The Deka Mile is the 10 zone preceded by 160 meters of running, which totals 1 mile of running. And then the Deka Fit is the 10 zones preceded by 500 meters before each zone, totaling 5K of running. So we either have no or two of the most common running distances, which is the 1 mile and the 5K. And of course, when people go out to run their first race, even when they're new to running, what do they choose? Usually the 5K or maybe the 1 mile, but the 5K is the most popular. So we wanted to create a distance that is well known, is very common, and is not intimidating. So that's where we landed on the 3 events. And of course, because we are part of Spartan, we have the Tri-Fecta. So if you do all 3 of those distances in 1 calendar year, you get those wedges, just like with Spartan Race, and you get your Tri-Fecta, which we know is a very powerful motivator to those in the Spartan community. So that's Deka in a nutshell.
That's amazing. And I just have to preface with, I am one of those people who chases the medals. We've talked about this before, but I'm very excited to get my 3rd piece in the Tri-Fecta this weekend. So let's lead right into that. We have Amber, who is an affiliate gym, who will be hosting her very first Deka Fit Roadshow. So tell us about that, and how does it differ from just the regular Deka Fit in the US, which are already going on? And anyone can answer that.
Amber, do you want to take any of this, or do you want me to?
Sure, I can take it. So it's the first ever Deka Fit in Canada. So it's not the first ever, but it's the first ever Deka Fit in Canada roadshow style. So what that just basically means is you're just basically taking all the standards from the Deka Strong, because there are usually a few differences when you get to the big arena and you do the Deka Fit, specifically in zone. I'm not even going to try it. Zone 4.
It's zone 4 and zone 4 and zone 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So normally in the Deka Fit, you're doing a med ball setup to a target. So think of it kind of like a wall ball setup almost. But in the Deka Strong and the Deka Mile, you're doing it between the feet. So when we do a roadshow event, you're just keeping that med ball setup between the feet for 25 reps, the exact same as you would in a strong or a mile. Yancey, who we all know and love, has trialed it, tested it. He's extremely confident that it is very similar, if not the exact same, when it comes to fatigue and time. So no need to stress there, guys, but we're going to be keeping that 25 reps between the feet at the roadshow events. And then when you get later on, there is a few other differences. For example, the farmer's carry in the Deka Fit event is more like a I like
It's
to
like a
call it like a snake
maze.
in the grass. It's like
It's
a
a
maze.
maze. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
a
something I didn't
continuous
realize.
forward motion.
Totally
Yeah,
didn't
and then
realize
like
that.
it fits. Yeah. So in the fit, it's normally a maze. It's a continuous forward motion, which allows you to just continue your momentum forward for 100 meters at a time. However, when you host an affiliate gym, we offer 100 meters to accommodate this big maze. So we do it in 10-meter down and backs. So you go 5 times down and back. In the roadshow event, you're going to see that same 10 meters down and back, which you're correct is slightly slower. You're pivoting, you're turning, you're doing those things, but that time is going to be made up a little bit. Like I've talked to Yancey today, again, this is all trialed and tested, guys. He has done his math. He's done his due diligence.
He does not mess around. He doesn't
will
mess
test
around.
and
like he likes to say, he murders the plan. Like he will test and
He
retest and
does.
retest. So yeah.
He absolutely does. So you guys are probably thinking that you're slowed down at the Deka Roadshow right now, but you're not, because when you get to zone again, is
8.
it 8?
Yeah.
8, yes.
The dead ball, shoulder over versus dead ball over.
Yes. So normally in the Deka Fit, you're going over like a bar. I believe they call it the yoke.
Yoke.
Yep. You're doing 20 reps over a yoke. Okay. So it's like this little structure. And you're going over, going around.
You have to walk around each time. So it takes a little time.
It takes a little bit of time, but when you do it in the Deka Strong and the Deka Mile, you're just taking that dead ball up and over your shoulder. So that time that you lost, ideally,
theoretically, depending on how fast you are.
Yeah, in the down and back, you're going to make up that time by just doing your reps over the shoulder in the roadshow event rather than over the yoke. So really and truly, guys, like it all works out in the wash. Your end time, your mark earned is going to be very, very similar, if not like to a T, from when you go to a larger scale event to the road show, just based on those slight changes. But yeah, we're gonna have 250-meter loops. You're gonna enter the zone, exit the zone, head out for your run, the exact same as you would at a Deka Fit event. So excited, guys. We've got podiums happening for elites and age groups. It's gonna be off the charts. So if you haven't registered yet, there's still time.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it. Get your trifecta. We don't care. Like Robin said, if it takes you an hour or it takes you more than that, or you do it in 25 minutes because you're like some crazy cyborg, we're just going to be there to celebrate you at the start and at the end, because that's what we do in Deka. So
yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about that, when I was in Chicago, we were short on volunteers. So I spent a lot of time judging in zone 10 and late in the day, like during open heats. And I remember people coming through and taking a long time and being self-conscious about it. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, hey, this mat is yours for as long as you need it. So don't you worry. And that's the energy and the positive attitude that we have at Deka. We're here to celebrate fitness with you. And enjoy that moment with you when you cross that finish line. So, and this is Canada. This is your chance to earn a trifecta. It's your easiest chance to earn a trifecta. So definitely show up. And I just want to give a shout out to you, Amber, because the Deka Fit Roadshow, and especially an affiliate hosted Deka Fit Roadshow, is a very new thing that we're doing. We have our own limits in regards to how many Deka Fit events we're able to have in a year. Again, we're a very small team. We're still fairly new in the Spartan universe. So we only have, 7, 8 actual Spartan Deka hosted Deka Fit events, but we understand that there are regions that we're not able to get to that very much need us. And Canada, and especially Eastern Canada, has just been so incredibly wild for Deka. Like we've just seen, you've got this great network of affiliates up there. You're selling out events, and we knew that this was a region that needed a Deka Fit, and that Pure Impact Athletics would be a great gym to host it. Like we could trust this, and putting Deka Fit in an affiliate's hands, like we felt good putting Deka Fit in your hands. We can't do that for everybody. So, we only have really 2 affiliate road shows this year, one in Canada and one in the UK. Again, another region we're not quite able to get to ourselves. As we grow, maybe we will be able to bring the whole dog and pony show, as it were, up to you in future years. But for now, it's really cool that we can find a way and find kind of a unique way to serve your people and to make sure that, Deka Fit comes to Canada. So Canada, come out and support this. This is an opportunity to show everybody, how strong Deka is in your community and how excited you are. So I want to see this event sell out.
And there's another way
Yeah,
people
I'm
can get involved
excited.
too, and that's through teams,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Teams is another way that
Oh, yeah.
people who are super beginners, sorry to interrupt in there, we always do that. We go back and forth, but if you do a team, there's no rules on it except everything has to be completed in strong. I'm thinking strong, not fit. You guys can explain it, but you just do what you can do. So maybe you're scared of the box overs, or maybe you don't like the bike. Maybe you can't hold the weights or something like that. You can rely on your partner to do that. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So Deka Fit teams, well, we do teams for all of the different Deka products, Deka Strong, Deka Mild, Deka Fit. What we love about teams, first of all, the way teams works, and I'll talk about Deka Fit specifically, you divide and conquer the work any way you want. The only thing that you absolutely have to do in Deka Fit teams is the first lap. So you always start with a run in any Deka event that has a run. First laps you do together, and the last laps you do together. So after you finish zone 9 before zone 10, those last laps you do together. Everything else you can divide any way you want. If you want to split the runs in half, if you want to have one person do the running and the other person not do any running. I've seen Deka Fit teams, especially some of like the high level teams where they bring on like a college sprinter and they're like, cool, you go run. I'll do the zones. I actually did that with a Deka Mile team with my husband because he had a foot injury and he couldn't run. I said, I'll do all the running. You do all the zones. So you can do it that way, or you can decide like, I'm strong at this zone, you're strong at these ones. We'll split it up, but you can strategize and split any way you want. We see two different populations that really get into teams, and the one is the one you mentioned, which is new people who might feel intimidated, like, hey, I don't know if I could do the box, or I don't know if I could carry these dumbbells. Partner up with someone who can take some of those things for you. You know, we often see people who are kind of already into Deka and they want to bring a family member in who might be intimidated. It's like, I'm going to guide you through this. Here's what you can do, and here's what I'll do for you. So bringing new people into the Deka fold, or beginners who might feel intimidated by doing things themselves. And the other population is the high level athletes who just want to go fast. And so we see teams that it's really fun to watch those teams where they're already fast on their own, but when they can implement a little bit of rest, a little bit of work, rest, you know, kind of treat it like an interval, all of a sudden they're blazing through it. And that's really, really fun to watch, or do if you have the chance to do it. And then, you know, column A sort of slowly moves into column B over time, which is fun.
I love that teams are like fast and furious. Like, it is my favorite. I have to be honest, it's my favorite part of Deka. I love teams. I love partner workouts in the gym, and I think that's why I love the team so much. But I've done both, and I have to say they're both like a very different intensity. Like, it's very a different experience. I mean, I'm speaking from somebody who likes to go super fast and like do record attempts. So like, don't get me wrong, you do not have to do that when you do your first team event. But like, try them both, guys. Like, if you get the opportunity, get out there, do your individuals, find someone to partner up with, experience the teams, because they're very different hards in the best possible way. So experience them both whenever you get a chance to. And I love partnering up, so I'm always available for a team.
Yeah. Well, someday I want to partner with you, Amber. That would be a lot of fun.
Oh my God, we need to plan that.
If we could ever get in the same room together, that would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what's really cool about Deka events is you could do both in one day if you really want to. You can show up in the morning, run age group or run an open, and then teams are usually at the end of the day, and you get a little bit of rest in between. You can recover and then come back out and do teams, because you are sharing the work. So it's a different kind of hard, as you said, but it's a lot of fun making a whole day of it, hanging out with your Deka friends, just like at a Spartan race. You're out there, you get to see your Spartan friends, and sometimes your Spartan friends are your Deka friends. So there is overlap there. So I love
for that.
That's why I love working Deka events, because I get to spend the whole entire day with my race buddies, I get to meet new race buddies around the country, which is really cool. So
Deka people
definitely
are
encouraged.
Favorite. I love the Deka community. Like, it's just like Spartan, guys. It's just like the best kind of people you're surrounded by. But while we're on the topic of teams, Robin, I don't even know if you know this, but there is going to be a record attempt happening with a men's team this weekend. We've got, I'm sure you will not be shocked when I say the first name.
Kevin Gregory?
Yes.
And is Zach the other one?
No, actually.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the fun part. Like you said, like not a lot of times, but probably when you're doing record attempts, you're going to get like a super speedy, like track star with like a super strong person who's just going to dominate the zones. And we've got, in my opinion, a really awesome matchup. So Kevin Gregory, for those of you who don't know, he's got the second fastest ever Deka strong time, which is just the 10 zones, no running. This guy is a freaking machine. And we're going to just basically give him a 90-second rest between every zone. So he's just going to hammer time. We've got him partnered up with a good friend of mine and Zach's, who was, I guess you call it, what is it? All-American track runner.
Okay. You got a ringer. You brought in a running ringer is what you did.
Yeah, but he's been immersed into Spartan Deka. It was a slow burn trying to convince him to like utilize his strengths, because he was just like, I'm just here to have fun. And I'm like, oh no, you are now officially here to break a record and we're going for it. So
sorry, friend.
So they're gonna try and go 25 minutes is the goal time.
Amazing.
So if you guys are listening, watch, maybe show up, come cheer them on. It's gonna be really fast if they can do it. It's gonna be really tough. I'm gonna be honest. That is gonna be a tough time to get. But yeah, cat's out of the bag. So they're going after it, Robin. I don't know.
I'm excited. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to pay attention. I got to be ready with my social media fingers. In case that record goes down. That's awesome.
Me too. I'm so excited.
So those of you who don't know, Underdog Fitness is Kevin Gregory's gym in Connecticut. And we just love partnering up. We take some of our, strongest athletes with them and mesh it together. And we've had some really good teams thrown out of it. So I'm excited to see what happens this weekend. So shout out to Kevin, the Underdogs. Thanks for coming up.
Hey, Bubbles. And I, as someone who's worked with the affiliates, I always love when our affiliates connect and become friends and support each other, because that just makes the whole Deka affiliate crew stronger. We have 250 plus affiliates now, all over the United States, branching, of course, out into Canada, UK. We just got one in Ireland. So we're going global. And, the more our affiliates support each other, collaborate, help each other, the stronger Deka is and the more we grow and the faster we grow. So, I got to give a shout out, of course, to our Deka affiliates, because, and something I haven't yet mentioned is, we're doing something unique with the Deka affiliate program. For those who don't know, Deka, our gyms can sign on, and basically they subscribe with us. And it's almost like a licensee situation where they get the ability to host Deka events in their gyms, Deka Strong and Deka Mile events in their gym. They earn a percentage of the revenue. So it's a revenue generator. It's a lead generator for gym owners, brings new people into their gyms. It's a community builder. As more people get involved, membership retention skyrockets, all of that. So, as a result, we've grown to a point where, like I said, we have 7-8 Deka Fit events per year. It's usually about one per month. Of course, we've added on these road shows, but it's usually about one per month. But with the affiliates, every single weekend, we have like 10 to 25 events every single weekend, and nobody's doing anything like that. That's well beyond Spartan, Tough Mudder, and I'm super supportive of what they do, but like, the volume of events is unmatched. So at any given weekend, you could go look on our event finder and probably find something near you and come and do a Deka Strong or Deka Mile. They're usually very reasonably priced, so you can just keep doing them, keep working on improving your time. So it's really cool, first of all, to see how it's grown and to really see what this has done for the gym community. So it's just, it's awesome. So we do a global Spartan events post every single week, late in the week, where they put together a series of slides showing every event around the world. And there's usually like 7-8 slides, and Deka takes up like 4 of them at least.
That's awesome.
Take up all the slides in it. So again, sorry, not sorry, but that just shows how many events are happening every single weekend.
And it's
and I do have to give a shout out.
Yeah,
I have to give a shout out to the other affiliates here that are within Ontario, because honestly, this is a group effort. The affiliates have really been supportive of this event. So shout out to all you guys, because the Canadian Deka affiliates are just amazing. And yes, I say that I don't know all of the other affiliates out there, and I'm sure they're wonderful too, but just shout out to all the Canadian affiliates who have helped, plan or jumping in to volunteer, make this event happen. You guys are rock stars, and I appreciate you. so much. But
yeah, you all made this happen. Like that, the strength of the Canadian affiliates in a very short amount of time made this happen, made it possible for y'all to have a Deka Fit up there as quickly as you've been able to do it. So kudos to you all.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've seen online. We've got a lot of social media. It's a different event. We've got different movement standards. We do different things in Deka. And I want to talk a little bit about that. There was a little bit of a controversial post. It really wasn't. It was just our box over queen, Amber here, was doing an amazing box step over, which looks different in Deka than it does in other fitness events. And it got a whole bunch of views and a little bit of negativity. And I want to talk about a little bit about that. And how did you guys at Deka feel about that? And did you hold strong to how we're still going to do the box step overs? Or did it make you think we should change things? Or why are the box step overs done like that? Sorry.
Well, the purpose of and like you said, there's different fitness competitions that have different standards and different ways of doing things and reasons for why they do things the way they do. And so there is a segment of people that think that you should jump up on a box or step up on a box in a very particular way. We didn't design our box step over to be a box jump or a variation of a box jump. The reason for us to put a box in there, what goes back to that original mission of movements that don't require learning and the reasons why we do this movement. Zone 3 was designed to have someone go up and over an obstacle. And we just happened to make that obstacle a 24-inch box. So we don't consider it the same. We don't look at it as a box jump or a box step the way other fitness modalities might look at it as a box jump and a box step. And for that reason, we have created our movement standards to be what they are. And that basically it's 2 feet touch the top, 2 feet touch the other side. But we allow incidental hand and knee contact for beginners. We will allow some people to crawl over it as long as both feet touch the top and both feet touch the other side. So it does look different, which can be alarming. And of course, those who do it very, very fast, which we have seen happen over time where, people like Amber and other elite level athletes they fly over it so fast that you can't even track when one foot touched one side and one foot touched the other side. And maybe one foot's touching the other side before the second foot touches the top. That's allowed under our rules because all we say is both feet have to touch the top and both feet have to touch the other side. We don't say when. So, and that your body has to travel over the middle of the box. So our movement standards are our movement standards for a very specific reason. And that's, we're all about just getting up and over this obstacle and the benefits of that. So Amber posted a video of herself doing her what looks to be fast forward, like it doesn't look like it's regular speed box overs. And for whatever reason, the algorithm looked favorably upon it and gave it lots of attention, which then brought in people who believe a box step up should look a certain way. And so they were crying no rep at your reps. And so it was a really fascinating thing to see. I remember, you were telling me about it. I told Yancey about it. We're all going in and looking. And, our perspective is whatever made it go viral, like that's an opportunity for us, really. And Amber, I will give you credit. Like you handled it with so much diplomacy, and Jill and everybody on your team who got involved.
Okay, guys, so if you're watching this video, you'll see there has been a slight change of scenery. Jill is no longer in her car. I'm no longer in my gym. It's like we kind of like swapped places here. We had a little bit of technical difficulties in the end of this recording. Robin is no longer with us on this recording because it's the next day. But anyways, we're here, we're back. We're going to wrap up this podcast with you because Robin was just so much fun. She was so full of information and energy. And we left off, we were talking about the box overs, and I just want to point out one thing. If you've seen the viral box over video, it's fast. It's not in fast forward. That is just me enjoying life, doing my thing. But don't let that freak you guys out. If you've never done the box overs, you do not need to go at that pace, you guys. One of the best things about Deka is you take those zones, you take the movement standards, and it meets you where you're at in your fitness journey and where you're at with your level of fitness. So we're just going to wrap this up kind of with that direction, guys. Fitness, this is for everybody. Okay. Wherever you're at in your journey, don't be scared to start, because these zones are probably, and I'm sure Jill can agree with me, it is the simplest of movements. Am I right?
It is,
Yeah.
because you can do it in so many ways. If you want to put 2 feet on the box at the same time, you can. If you want to go nuts like Amber does, or if you want to even attempt that, you can also do that as well. But I love that it is truly for all levels of people. So I love that.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's the simplest sequence of movements, but the way and order in which they're put together makes for a very well-rounded fitness test, and one that you choose the intensity at which you conquer it. So with that being said, again, Robin, if you're listening to this, we are so sorry you are not physically on the ending of this podcast with us, but we are so grateful to have had you on here with us and share Deka with our Spartan community. And before we wrap this up for the weekend, I think, you know what, Jill was going to ask me my tip, but I think we both should share a tip. So Jill,
All
you
right.
go first. What's your best tip for the first ever Canadian Deka Fit event this weekend?
Okay, so I'm not new to Deka. I've done a few of them, not as many as some Canadians have, but and I've never done a fit. So excited about it. My best tip is to just show up and do your best. Like, that's all you can do. Get your first mark and then go from there.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, like, every time you show up to a Deka line or starting line, you know, well, how do I put this? Your best effort might be very different than another day. So just show up and give it everything you've got that day. So I totally second that. And my tip, I'm just gonna roll with it, guys. Have fun. Okay. We've got some amazing vendors coming out. And actually, I'm gonna do a shout out to them while we're on here. We're going to have Ram Fit Canada there with
Yes.
lots of rams. So if you don't have a ram to train with at home, or you need some in your gym, they will be there on site, and you can actually purchase them and take it home with you. How cool is that? We are
Awesome.
also going to have the Culture ice baths there. So when you guys come to the event, just outside the building to the parking lot there, you're going to find the Culture plunges. You're going to want to do that after you race, especially if you're racing
Absolutely.
again later in the day. Teams, they're going to be there. Get in those ice baths, guys. And then we're going to have New You Health and Smoothie Bar. They're going to be there dealing out smoothies all day long. So those of you who are hanging around all day, make sure you go refuel with some of the smoothies with them. So with that said, guys, we're so excited for this weekend, and we can't wait to see all of you there rocking it, living your best life, and experiencing the Deka community for the first time in Canada.
Yes, let's go.